Today on the Topping Show, Dove launches a campaign against beauty, Feds investigate Bud Light for advertising to children, Montana bans TikTok, Chick-fil-A closes their very first store, Taco Tuesday trademark is under attack, Honda to stop making gas mowers in the United States, Nintendo breaks records with their new Zelda video game, Dave Chappelle roasts San Francisco for literally being a shitty place to live, and Hyundai Kia settle for $200 million for their business blunder of having cars too easy to steal. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you for tuning in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice today. Gotta say, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me. That's a joke. If you're a IT leader or a business owner, use a little assistance with your IT, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the business, or rather the politics. So going on to the politics part of the podcast, you have Ted Cruz demanding Bud Light probe for advertising to kids, which, not to say I called it, but yeah, if you're an alcohol company advertising towards kids or endorsing someone who advertises towards kids, probably not a proven business idea because, again, they're not legally allowed to purchase your product in the United States. Now, Ted Cruz, as well as Marsha Blackburn, she being from Tennessee, Ted Cruz being from Texas, senator, they sent a letter to the Anheuser-Busch CEO, Brandon Whitworth. They claim that their recent spokesperson, Dylan Mulvaney, commands an audience that skews significantly younger than the legal drinking age. True. The letter cited that Mulvaney's Days of Girlhood, in which Dylan sang Eloise and dressed up as a 6-year-old, was very indicative of the overall theme of Dylan's channel and content. It's an astonishingly interesting video. You can't comment on it. And if you say certain things, your videos on YouTube will be blacklisted and delisted, which I somewhat suspect is why my viewership went down the past couple days when I mentioned certain topics. Yet another reason to adapt alternative medias, which we will. Now, in one video, Dylan has 11 million views in which Dylan is at the mall giving away merchandise, including cash, to teenage girls, at least one embraces. Again, they can't buy beer. Another video shows Dylan shopping for Barbie dolls. And of course, the average market for that product is, 3 to 12 years old. And the letter also had a quote from Bud Light's former genius VP of Marketing, Alyssa Heinerschild, who's known for being a hypocrite who, of course, when she was in college, she got blitzed or inebriated on the Bud Light in the frat parties and actually had a photo in which she drank their piss water from a condom. The same woman went on to have this marketing campaign where she says, we need to get away from that fratty image. That's not the future. People in suits will drink Bud Light with a little pinky high face. No, they won't. But nevertheless, what she said was they need to, quote, persuade young drinkers to come drink this brand. If we don't do that, there will be no future for Bud Light, unquote. Well, there is no future for Bud Light. She got half of that right. But it is one of those things where you chose someone who, again, the average audience member for Dylan, all reports say is about 15 years old. The average TikTok user in general is 20 years old. Now, the letter specifically urged Whitworth to, quote, to avoid a lengthy investigation by the Beer Institute by instead having the Anheuser-Busch publicly sever its relationship with Dylan Mulvaney, publicly apologize to the American people for marketing alcoholic beverage to minors, and to direct Dylan Mulvaney to remove any Anheuser-Busch contact from Dylan's social media platforms, unquote. Now, I did have to alter that quote because on YouTube, if you use the traditional pronouns or the ones that were on the birth certificate of Dylan, your videos are delisted and you are immediately removed from the pool of recommended videos. Again, 1984 has never been more prevalent. Everyone in America, in the world, I would say, should read George Orwell's masterpiece in which he talks about newspeak, in which they quite literally rewrite the language to control people. The irony of the United States having this book already been published and not reading it is not lost on me. Probably should have read it. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens from this, but again, the ultimate business blunder, you also have people on the left who are now furious at Anheuser-Busch for not sticking by Dylan Mulvaney. So now everyone is pissed, including the investors, as they've lost about $11 billion in evaluation, just erased from the stock market. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. especially as they try to do all their pandering. They recently tried to pander by having a beer can with Harley Davidson, which is not a cheap licensing deal. It's one of the most expensive or premium brands in terms of it's been around the United States forever. Great Wisconsin-based motorcycle manufacturer. In order to get a licensing deal like that, you have to pay a pretty penny. It's not cheap. Now, other interesting political news, Montana, as a state, banned TikTok. Now, this is a first in terms of it's never been done for the public. Now, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte signed the law last Wednesday, following the state's legislation approved last month. So the state did approve it, and he signed off on it. Now, it will take effect January 1st, 2024, which, looking at the clock, is about half a year, or a little more than half a year away. It's one of the double-edged swords of government. I prefer it moves slow or not at all, especially when it comes to things like business regulation, I think. But it is also one of the things where if you want something to happen, it can take some extra time. This is kind of what the Founding Fathers invented gridlock for, because they wanted it to move slow, and ideally for people actually to think before they pass laws and rules and regulation. Even though that I don't think that happens anymore for the most part. Now, TikTok parent company in China, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Now, that company is ByteDance. They claim that this will, quote, infringe on the First American rights, unquote, of Montana residents, and it will defend its users' right in and out of the state. Now, is it an infringement on the First Amendment in spirit? Yes, it is. It is limiting your ability to speak. Is it technically the government doing it? Not really. In terms of free speech, the spirit of the law is being broken, I agree. But legally, from the free speech protected, but again, most Americans, history is at all-time low. Again, the teachers aren't getting paid enough, but it's at an all-time low when they did a test round, comprehension around 8th graders. Less than 20% could properly comprehend U.S. history. Abysmal to say the least, although many would say by design, so you become more dependent on the government and allow them to make greater changes. Again, hope we have more libertarians and more people in the middle gain political power. Realistic? Probably not, but time shall tell. But going back to my point, I was originally bringing to the front. The Bill of Rights protects you from the government. It's supposed to give you powers. So when it comes to the First Amendment, that means the government cannot censor you. That means if you're standing outside of a capitol, or if you're standing on the streets and you want to promulgate your political ideals with a poster or just verbally, the government can't come down and say, hey, you're not allowed to speak here, go home. Though some police departments and some people do break that, they're subsequently sued for crazy amounts of money. Which is, again, another reason to never fight the police, always in terms of the time to get your justice is in the courts system. Always, yeah. Another topic for another day. But they also went on, this bill also gets more specific. While it will be considered unlawful for Google or Apple to offer the TikTok app in their app store in Montana, the state will not impose any penalties on individuals using the app. So again, they're going after the right people in this case as well. And this is a first. This is the very first state to actually ban TikToks on just regular people's devices. Many other states have banned it on government-owned devices, which the only reason not to ban it on government-owned devices is if you're getting paid by China or paid by a foreign adversary. It's basically spyware. And if you have a government device, putting spyware on it is not a prudent idea if you care about the security of the country. Also, if you have a government device, your job is to work, not bullshit. Which, again, if you're a social media influencer, you make a living on TikTok, okay, that makes sense. But for most people, it's just a time sink where it's an addictive plethora of things that do not make you smarter, do not make you a better person. So, again, should government have any access? No, of course not. Now, going on to the business blunder of the day, you have Kia and Hyundai in the news again. Now, they agreed to pay $200 million to settle claims that their cars are too easy to steal. Specifically, this is for vehicles produced between 2015 and 2019 with, and quote, when equipped with turnkey ignitions, as opposed to cars that only require a button or push button to start, they're roughly twice as likely to be stolen as other vehicles of the similar age, unquote. It's also one of those phenomena I was talking about, kind of going back to the culture part of the podcast, where it's actually a TikTok trend for teenagers to steal those cars using a screwdriver, basic, very simple tools that anyone can get. Why these kids aren't properly disciplined? I would say the parents, which is another issue in and of itself. Now, settlement is going to cover up to 9 million vehicles, provides up to 145 million to be distributed to the owners to the owners whose vehicles have been stolen to help cover the cost of their out-of-pocket. This includes payments up to $6,125 per vehicle for the complete loss of their vehicle, as well as payments for the damage to the vehicle and to personal property for up to $3,375. This could also include payments for insurance-related expenses, other expenses, including car rental, taxi, yada, 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 including costs related to installing the anti-theft software and payments for other anti-theft measures. Total cost of the settlement costs maybe slightly more than $200 million, depending on how many choose to participate. And again, this is one of the biggest business blunders in the automotive community, especially because it's unique to them. Most every auto manufacturer had a recall for airbags, partially because there's one airbag manufacturer that supplied pretty much the whole automotive community. So you can't blame the individual automotive companies too much in that regard. It's just one of those things where it makes sense. Everyone had the same supplier. They should have vetted the supplier. Of course, they should have vetted the supplier a little bit better, or a lot better. But to have this issue where they now have more cars being stolen than any other brand, it's gotten to the point where insurance companies are increasing rates or even choosing not to insure the product at all because it's so easy to steal. So to have the car designed in such a way just to save a couple of bucks, and now they have to pay it's going to cost about $200 million, not including the cost to their brand, which is one of the most valuable things for a business is what's the cost of the brand. And they had been increasing their brand reputation for years with increased reliability. I believe a couple years ago, they actually had the best warranty. It was like 10-year, 10,000 miles, which was better than Honda or Toyota at the time. So they had come a long way, but to have this black eye on them and have to pay another $200 million, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Each of those things helps the channel grow and develop. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone to stay safe and fight the good fight.